How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. It's finals week for me, so
Uh,
you guys are in Pittsburgh, right?
hmm
How's the weather over there? Is it cold yet?
It's a little better today. Last week was freezing. Last month has been freezing.
Yeah,
But yeah,
quick drop. So it's the kind of cold that you're not prepared for, and then all of a sudden it's just 20 degrees out.
Yeah, I'm in New York, so same thing here.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so can you guys start by introducing yourselves? Tell me a little bit about the band as a whole, how the name came about, where it started.
Yeah, so we are Drown the Deep, an original female-fronted hard rock band from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Regis and I started the band back in 2020, the best time to be doing live music. But it gave us a great time to write everything, really get a solid foundation under us for the band when we brought in our drummer Wade and got going with our shows. And the name was one that I had already and floated it with Regis, and he was cool with it, so we kept it. And basically what it means is it's kind of a reflection of how music is such a lifeblood for us, and there's a depth to it all, and you can sort of drown in the music in ways that are good and bad. You sort of process all your feelings and get through life mucking it all out through the therapy that is writing music and performing it for us. So.
I mean, it's beautiful. I agree. I think music is the best kind of natural therapy you can get, and I think so many people relate to that sentiment as well. So
Yeah, it was great that, like Jayla mentioned, she sort of had that name already, and when we started writing music together, both of us really connected in that we want our music to evoke an emotion. Either we're both very open to it as well. Either some some anger, maybe some any kind of different melancholy. We both love the melancholy thing, and sort of mixing genres and things like that, just to be able to evoke some kind of emotion. We're both it's an art form, number one, for us to express ourselves in some way.
everything about art in that sense is supposed to evoke an emotion within you. So to have music that makes people feel something they can resonate with, I mean, it's a hard thing to do. There's so many ways you can make a person feel. So to kind of encapsulate so many different realms of it, I mean, it makes it accessible.
Yeah, I really think it's just a gift, to be able to have the ability to write music, and in Jayla's case, be able to sing notes and music, and the right combination of those notes can make you feel something, and Jayla's very good about words. I'm not a word person, so it works out great. I love the melody. I love finding that note that tweaks you. Dale's great about that as well, but she's also good with lyrics and meaningful lyrical content as well, which is great.
Storytelling. Yeah, storytelling is always very important.
The most beautiful part of music, in my opinion. It's all in the lyrics.
Yeah.
So Black Sun Jive, that album was released in 2023. And what two songs on that album mean the most to you guys, and why?
That's a good question. Okay, only two. Let's see. I have to say, Here to Stay remains one of my favorites. The emotions that it evokes, as well as how fun it is to play. Love hearing him solo. He's got a great solo in that song too. So that's absolutely one of my favorites. I also really love Rapture. It's our heaviest song so far, and it's another one that's just really fun to play. We end our sets with it so far because, again, we kind of take people on an emotional roller coaster ride when we do our sets. We've got our slower, more melancholy songs. We've got our more upbeat songs. And then we end with this sort of hit you in the face kind of song that Rapture is. And that was one of those ones, too, that came together so well.
Yeah.
When we were writing it, everything just kind of coalesced really nicely. Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of hard to pick too.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all love Here to Stay for some reason. But for me, I wrote the song first, and it kind of sat on it for a while right after I got divorced. And, I was kind of here to stay. I had this title that, I committed myself to just saying, I'm going to get through this in a positive way. And Jayla knew that. And I kind of sat on it, had to be just right, and I came up with a few parts, and it always really meant a lot to me that Jayla took a lot of time working with that song and coming up with a really great, the second half of the song really just has the melancholy part that you're going to rise above. It just gives you the feeling that you're going to rise above what you're overcoming, and she took such care with that song because she wanted it to be right. That meant a ton to me, too, because I mean, I wanted to write the beat too, but I couldn't complete the vision without her. So it was really just an amazing sort of collaboration. There's a lot of people talk about it too. They can feel when we play it too. It's funny. A lot of people say that, so it's interesting. But yeah, I love Rapture's great because I always had this rough idea. I think when we first started, I talked about idea for Rapture, and then at one point I wrote a heavy song, and then when she came to practice with these lyrics and the melody, and I was like, that's that thing I talked about like a year ago. You made that happen. It was just so cool. I totally forgot about talking about it, and she put it all together. So yeah, we really just love just writing music and connecting with each other through our music too, and it's great. It's just amazing.
How long have you guys been collaborating together for? I mean, even outside this project, I mean, maybe you guys...
That's it.
2020, 2019, late 2019, 2020 is when we first met. And then, all through COVID, Jayla had some music partially written. We met, and it was super cool to listen to her music. We reworked a lot of the songs that she had to be more guitar-based because she's more piano-based.
Yeah.
And then we wrote 3 or 4 more on top of that as just fresh new ideas together.
Yeah, he's got a much better ability for arrangements overall, so that was great, bringing in those other parts. And then Wayne, our drummer, we just have been friends since they were kids, so there's this almost innate ability of them. Sometimes in practice, they're just sink in and they start writing something new, and they're perfectly in time with each other. It's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah.
And it just kind of feels like for us, it's band family, and everyone we meet when we play shows is also our Drown the Deep family. And there's something about when you find the right people for the band, it just clicks. And that's kind of how it was with us, and then bringing Wayne in as well. Just is right. So even though we haven't been playing together that long, it's only been 4-ish years now, almost going on 5. It's just been an incredible journey, and everything's just felt sort of perfectly right from the beginning there.
Right.
I love the way you call it a band family too, because I feel like that's what it feels for the audience too. I mean, the band becomes their family. And I love your songwriting process too. A lot of artists nowadays, they have that one golden person that writes most of the music. But I like how you guys make it a collaborative process like that, because I think it highlights every individual instrument, and it's a complete experience. Then when you see something like that live in person, everyone knows their parts. They know how to make it special, how to get the audience moving. It's a really special thing to see that collaboration still being a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's great too. I think I talked to my therapist about this too, or somebody about this. You feel like art is a solitary thing, and sometimes it is, but it also, and this is the first experience I've had where a collaborative experience is really cool. You create a couple things, or they create something, and you're like, oh, but I hear it going here next, and it's almost like a collaborative painting. And everybody has a brush, and you put some paint on the canvas, and somebody else walks over and puts some paint on the canvas. Wayne comes up and puts his paint on the canvas, and you've got something that you never even imagined before. You're like, how did? Yeah. And that's what we say a lot. We're like, how did this happen? How did we write this? So, and a lot of them
than the sum of the parts, because we're all bringing ourselves to it, and we're all a little bit different, and our music influences are a little bit different, which is cool too. So none of our songs fit into a box exactly. We've got one that's new, that's in the works, that's sort of jazzy-ish, and just everything we bring to it, we do what's fun for us and what sounds right and good, and it's so cool, all the different things we can bring to it, because we're all a little bit different, and our music styles overlap, but don't perfectly line up.
Mm-hmm.
The jazzy one. Oh, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that we kind of have a pact that, we don't really try to drive it in any one direction. We're a hard rock band, first and foremost, but what I like about hard rock is we can go a little heavier into the metal realm. We can go into something a little lighter, almost a little strumming country-esque kind of thing, maybe, not necessarily, but, some of our acoustic stuff, lighter songs. So being a hard rock band at core really allows us to kind of go to both directions. We both like metalcore, some harder music, but it feels like sometimes it's sort of a little bit of a trap, a little bit of a box. All metalcore bands have to do all metalcore music, but it's fun for what we do, is we can kind of go in a couple different directions with this band.
Yeah, and I think the comfort level you guys have with one another to be able to, give everyone the freedom they want with their instruments, I think that allows for more creativity to flow within people, because they feel comfortable. they can
Right.
experiment more and they won't feel like, oh, they're immediately going to shut this down. It's like, actually, let's play with this. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah,
And I think that's what keeps people, especially artists nowadays, relevant. You have to stay with what's popular. So being able to play with every little piece of every little genre, I mean, it makes you very well rounded.
exactly. And that's where I was going with that, was that, yeah, we don't really judge each other or say that it's a very safe space. We're very choosy about who we want to be around, and it's very supportive. There's no negativity, so we just let it flow. And we have USB drives full of ideas of just jamming and trying things, and nobody says that's crap or stop doing that. We just jam on some stuff. She'll do some vocals on top. We've got some really great stuff that we need to find back on some of those recordings, because there was some really cool lightning in a bottle moments that, sometimes I'll go back and look at the WAV files and I'll cut out some pieces. She's good at the computer. She'll cut out some pieces. We'll find those pieces and kind of start to create some arrangements from some just ideas we have. Try to recreate them.
It's a beautiful thing. I can't wait to hear that jazzy song too. You guys have to release that one soon, because I'm huge. In the inside, I love jazz, even though on the outside I'm like pop punk all the way.
Nice.
Yeah, we should be getting that one out in 2025. Absolutely, it's on our agenda. It's on the top of the pile. A couple of songs are up there, so we have to get these done this year and get them out there. And then there's like a huge backlog of other stuff that we're like, and these things too, as we can.
Everyone has to keep an eye out. 2025 is the year.
Absolutely.
So you guys were touching a little bit on like your previous live shows, the songs you like to play live, and you mentioned how in your set list you kind of like to flow from different types of intensity, kind of just start mellow and then build up, end with something crazy. Is that like the only process that you guys have for making set lists? Like, how do you go about deciding what songs go where?
It's a good question. So generally what we do to start off with building our set list for a show is look at who else we're playing with or what kind of show we're playing. Like Regis was saying, we have songs that run a gamut of sounds or go harder or lighter. So, we've opened for Memphis Mayfire, we've opened for Cold, we've played Female Future Fest up in Erie. So we kind of look at who we're playing with and what the vibe is and decide what songs, what's the emotional journey that's going to fit best for where we're playing, who we're playing for, and who else we're playing with. And that's sort of how we start. We do like to end on like a heavier note, so that's why Rapture tends to be our last song in our set. Not necessarily always, if a show feels like it should have something different, we'll do something different. But generally, we want to go out, like, give it all. We're giving 200% every show we do, and so that's our song that just like closes it all out. Like, and here's the last bit of everything we've got for you.
I love it. You gotta drive the message home at the end. This is who we are.
Yep.
Is there one song that's always on the set list that fans should know by heart?
Highway's the big one.
That's been our fan favorite so far. So we keep that on the set list. And pretty consistently. Everyone loves that. We get a lot of people singing along to it.
Yeah, it's got a good groove and the good vocal part, and just a good solid hard rock song. People really connect with it. Comes out, with a little bit of a rhythm part, kind of wakes people up, and kind of has a little interlude, then comes out at the end. So again, just almost
it's sort of our emotional journey in one song.
In one song, that's
Okay, so you guys mentioned touring with some pretty big artists, Memphis Mayfire. I mean, that's a name pretty much everyone knows. Is there any like dream tour lineup you guys would kill to get on? Who would be the top 3 artists?
For me, that's a very simple Hailstorm. I mean, I would adore them. The guys all know Hailstorm's my like top.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I kind of like. I mean, I love right now. I love Gojira and Sleep Token, Deftones, things like that. That'd be really cool. We opened for Cold. Cold's been a big. I've been a fan of Cold for a long time, since the '90s and everything. So that'd be a cool, smaller kind of band to open for.
So touching on that, what are some other inspirations that you guys have, even outside of metalcore, post-hardcore?
Yeah, so for me, I grew up in sort of that jazz, blues, and musical theater realm. So my first influences were singers like Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Barbra Streisand, Liza Minnelli. So yeah, I mean that's part of what brings those different aspects. Is I've got that like musical theater kid in me still in some ways, and then once I discovered harder music, finding some of those female vocalists who were doing things like that, whether it's the older ones like Pat Benatar and Hart, or some more modern artists like Hailstorm, Lizzie Hale, or Maria Brink from In This Moment, or Lena from Infected Rain. Just like there's so many great influences out there.
So many powerhouses, especially in female metalcore rock.
Yeah.
Probably nothing too unexpected. I always just like players who have like soul, like guitar players that have some kind of soul, even if they're playing fast. Kind of combining all of that into one is just like amazing to me. I've liked like Jimi Hendrix and some of the blues players, Stevie Ray Vaughan, somebody who really can evoke emotion, but as well like Prince, who can play and perform and just the whole package. Mm-hmm. That's always what I've kind of aspired to do, is put on a bit of a show too. I don't want to just stand there too. I want to have a good time and run around the stage and. Yeah. I think the crowd picks up on that too. If you're running around and having a great time, people are going to pick up on that energy. So, people even commented about J.L. and I have a really good chemistry on stage. We have we interact with the crowd. You try to just get that energy going. Almost personify what the music is doing too. So I'd always like guitar players that can do that too, as well as write a good song. First and foremost, write a good song.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are phenomenal guitarists. I play a little bit, not nearly as good as like Jimi Hendrix, but those are the things like every guitarist should be studying. They should know. Mm-hmm. And then what's the music scene in Pittsburgh? I mean, you guys have now been playing a few shows outside of the area. So how would you say it's
Pittsburgh is, I would say, at a struggle point for music. There are a lot of great bands out here. We've played with some other amazing local bands that we love. We're losing venues left and right. One of our favorite venues that had opened a couple years ago shut down a year or two after they opened. It's very, very hard. So the few venues we have are mostly for those really big national or international acts that are touring through. So as a regional or local band, it's kind of pushing us out of Pittsburgh and more into different areas, which, I mean, we love going out playing new areas anyway. You kind of have to do that, but it's really sad to see that in the scene here, because there's great people and there's great bands, and we really could use better venues, but I know it's a struggle right now across the country too. We're not the only city facing that problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame too, because you're not even that close to to Philadelphia. So it's a bit of a hike to get out there, but Pittsburgh is still a good little city. I mean, I went out there over the summer for Four Chord, so I kind of imagine that it was pretty lively out there, because it seemed, a lot of people, they sold out the event. So I imagined it had like a pretty big scene over there, but
there's great fans, there's great people out here. When you get good shows, they do sell out pretty quickly, I feel like. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of hit or miss in a way, and because there's so few venues, things get booked up really quick, or things compete with each other because they're at like two different venues on the same day.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and it's just tough.
Well, that and supporting original music really isn't the thing in Pittsburgh. People like to go see covers a lot of sports fans, but clubs that support original music are kind of far between. Like J.Lo said, we had a local bar that they specialized only in original bands with original music, smaller club. They were great to us, but they closed up, and even now they're closing the Hard Rock Cafe. We've opened for a lot of different acts, Trapped and some other OTEP, a couple different bands there. Just the smaller venues that support original music are pretty hard to come by now. So
it's such a shame.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they bring it back. Someone's got to revive it. Maybe you guys are the ones. Little side venue.
Because like J.Lo said too, I've been in cover bands my whole life, and this was my first original band, and I really learned by playing with bands. There's some really great bands around here that I'm fans of, And vice versa, they're like, we're actually the fans of yours. Like, we love your music. I'm like, I love your music, like, just as much as I would any big band. You know, it's a shame.
And we play a lot of shows, all of us out in Erie or out over in Ohio, or more so than we do our hometown because of that issue. As well as, obviously, there's a strategic factor for it of people are only going to come see you so many times for the same material. So we've got a strategic aspect to our booking as well. But despite that, it's a challenging atmosphere at the moment.
Well, it's unfortunate. Maybe you guys start a little like mayhem thing where you have a record store venue connected.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, New York, come up here anytime. I'll always come out and see you guys perform. Let me know.
Awesome. Yeah.
But I'm going to call it a night. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this call. It was amazing talking to you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
It was
really
great.
Appreciate your time.
I can't wait to hear the new music in 2025. And are there any little teasers you want to tell people? Anything we should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, actually, we just finished up in the studio. It's in mixing right now. We did a recording of our cover of Purple Rain. People adore it. Speaking of songs that we keep in the playlist, we have to have a set list that's long enough, at least 40 minutes to include Purple Rain, because that's a 6.5 minute song.
You guys have good songs. So much respect.
Yeah. But we love it. People love it when we play it. So we finally got into the studio to record it. So that's going to be coming out here soon.
That's beautiful. I can't wait to hear that one. That's, classic. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the first one that Regis, Wayne, and myself jammed on the first time we all practiced together.
Oh, yeah.
One of the songs we all knew. So we're like, hey, let's just run through this. And now it's become one that, like, a go-to. And we just love it so much. And Prince is fucking amazing. So
when you get to arenas, that'll be what greets you guys. Purple Rain is playing in the background. Well, thank you guys so much. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you.
I hope you guys are soon.
Thank you. Good luck with finals.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.